Go ahead. Alrighty. Good afternoon or good morning whenever you're watching this. We are now starting our third episode for Learn to Lead. And here we have a few special guests, all alumni from College of Charleston. We have myself, Jarell Caviness, my hosts, plural. We have Marcus as well as Patrick, but we're going to let everyone go around and, tell us a little bit about themselves. We can go starting to the right.
All right, I'm Brian Plexico, College of Charleston graduate from 1995. I am the Vice President of Baseball Systems for the Tampa Bay Rays. So baseball systems basically means that I create all the software and manage all the data that we use internally for our scouting, statistics, and analytics.
I am Lauren Taylor. I graduated from College of Charleston in 2014. I am a director of partnership sales for Tepper Sports and Entertainment, which is comprised of the Carolina Panthers, Charlotte FC's our MLS team, and Bank of America Stadium, where we host a number of concerts and ancillary football and soccer games.
I'm Christian Jablonski, graduated of the College of Charleston in 2017. I'm the Senior Manager of Luxe Partnership Development with the Houston Texans. In short, I am the Senior Manager of Suite Sales with the Texans, so I oversee the sale and execution of all of our full-season suite leases as well as all of our renewal business.
And I'm Tanner Clay. I am a 2015 grad of the College of Charleston. I'm the current Director of Business Development for the local professional soccer team, the Charleston Battery. And I sell the full menu of ticketing items as well as corporate partnerships.
Alrighty, well, that's pretty swell. Everybody's acquainted now. So, previously, just before this, you guys did have a business panel. You guys spoke mainly about your endeavors in the business world pertaining to the sports industry. So here, we really want to get down to the nitty-gritty, but really on the deep personal level of where did you start? Everybody has a white drawing board or a chalkboard. I don't know, back in '95, but everybody has
chalkboards.
Everybody has to start somewhere, and so the first question I want to start off by asking you guys, and you can make it short and sweet or however, but just tell us, starting from really college, I don't know, everybody has their own challenges, own strengths and weaknesses, but what was your biggest challenge as well as your greatest strength going through, the years that you really saw this is something I can really handle and really excel in? Oh, we can, sure, I'll just start over here.
Yeah, I don't think there was any one particular moment for me. Everything just kind of built upon itself. I left the college in '95, thinking I was going to go to medical school. Everything I did leading up to that, I was a physical education major here with a sports medicine emphasis. So instead of taking fun electives, I took physics and chemistry and all that. But it was, right before the dot-com boom back then, and once I decided I wasn't going to go to medical school, it was just kind of figuring it out, and at that point it was bouncing around a few different jobs, figuring out what I wanted to do on a daily basis. Ended up learning some computer networking and programming, and part of that started here because of a chemistry lab here at the College of Charleston, because my chemistry professor was in love with what he could do with Lotus 123, which was a precursor to Microsoft Excel, if you haven't heard of it. And that kind of piqued my curiosity and basically allowed me to get started teaching myself just kind of the computer world. And, through 10 years of working through that, kind of led me to the point of where I found the job posting for the Rays, and being a former baseball player involved in sports and having, just the skills they needed right at that particular time, it worked out well where I ended up there.
So, in the moment, you were going through the motions and doing whatever, but it was kind of a natural shift towards where you wanted to be eventually.
Yeah, it was very natural. It was very much take it as it comes. It was, with the internet taking off, Web 1.0 they call it now, the first dot-com boom. Being in Atlanta at the time, there was a lot of opportunity to literally just bounce around. I would switch jobs every 6 to 10, 11 months. And learn something new. The one thing I think that has been the biggest boost for me is just having that curiosity to keep learning more. Still with me to this day. That's what kind of keeps me going now, and you have to in the technology world just to stay with the times or you'll get left behind. So it was all of those little pieces eventually adding up that led me to the Rays. You know, it probably wouldn't have happened without any of them, you know, starting at the college and changing my idea of what my life would be like as a doctor or whatever, and ended up in the computer world with many different experiences that led me to where I am now.
Well, before we go to the next one, I just want to say that's really great. You know, he said he didn't know really how he how he got there was gradual, and you said the pieces of the puzzle. Without certain ones, you know, you probably wouldn't have got to the next one if you hadn't taken the right steps and gotten that experience. And that word that you use, curiosity, I really like that, because I think people need to be more curious, because you don't know what you need.
Exactly.
You don't know what you need for the next step. You don't know what you're going to need in order to be equipped or whatever, unless you have a great idea and you're really smart. But most people don't, even still. Right. But yeah, thank you.
Hey, sorry, just before we go off on that, Brian, we know that kind of curiosity is very important for anybody that's going to excel and get into a leadership base. So as a podcast that's generally centered around college students, where did that drive or where did that knowledge come from? Have you always just been a curious person, or where did that come from?
I think I always was a very curious person, but you know, it's a very long story of how I even ended up here at the College of Charleston. But you know, some things are just serendipitous. You know, luck plays a big part. You know, preparation is also a big part of it, but luck definitely plays a role in that too. And you know, being here and you know, a liberal arts education where you're required to go take different classes that you may have zero interest in, but you know, whether it's you know, theater or music appreciation, you know, you get exposed to so many different things. And you know, when you're in college, you're usually 18 to 22, 23, and you really don't have it all figured out, even if you think you do at the time. You get exposed to those things that make you more curious. And you know, for me, that was it. You know, a big part when I was here, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have Wi-Fi. We had computer labs we had to go to, and you had to take a floppy disk because you couldn't save your file on the computer in the computer lab because they closed it. You know, it was just a completely different time back then, but it forced you into the library. It forced you to be around other people. You know, it's not sitting in your home office or your dorm room or whatever you want to call it these days. You know, you're forced to be out there, and some people embraced that. Some people didn't care for it. For me, it just made me more curious to learn more things about other stuff that, you know, I was a baseball player. You know, sports was my thing. I was most interested in sports than anything else at the time. But, you know, going through my time here at the college, it piqued my interest in many different things and, you know, led me down a different path that, you know, I certainly didn't anticipate coming out of high school. And, you know, it just led me to have a lifelong love of curiosity.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, Lauren, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but go ahead.
Great. I would say actually very similarly, a challenge of mine was that I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was a biology major. I thought for sure I was going to be a physical therapist. I tried pharmacy. Actually, one of my favorite classes at College of Charleston was oceanography, which was amazing. But you kind of get out in the real world and you realize, okay, maybe I can't be a marine biologist, or maybe I don't actually want to be a physical therapist. But you kind of just have to put yourself out there and start asking the question of, okay, what do I enjoy? And what does that look like for me? What are my options? Understanding your options. I mean, we talk all the time about a lot of people don't know that these opportunities exist within sports organizations. We have the same way that a large corporate brand would have a marketing and an HR and an IT team, we do as well. We have to function as a corporation as well. So once I figured that out, you know, it was no looking back. But yeah, I think it's just, to his point, staying curious and using that kind of as a strength to have that flexibility.
Yeah, I love to hear stories about that. Definitely, it's the same thing. You know, the journey, you still don't know where the end really is. We have an idea, but we have to continue on to really see how it'll unfold. But
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, and this is Tanner, it's I played sports my whole life, and you know, when you play sports, you're so regimented. You need to be here at that time, and you do this play, and that happens, and this is the end result. Where whenever you get into college, in the quote unquote real world, there really isn't a playbook. So you got to figure it out. You got to work with people that you trust and can pour into you advice. You know, try things. I mean, you both mentioned all the theater. Like I remember like theater class like it was yesterday. Music appreciation, and it kind of gets you out of your comfort zone. You got to get out of your comfort zone if you want to have success. I think in anything, or maximize your potential. I don't even know if I'm answering the question right now, but
No.
kind of just going.
I mean, this is really all part of the question, and what I feel as though you're saying is really, when I first started playing basketball, there was plays. You know, you better know all the plays, or you can't even get on the court. But then I learned, after going, get hair. You need to be haired by that, and when he goes over there, then that's when you back cut and this that. But then when the play finally ran through, but we didn't score yet. We're not done. The game's not over. We still have to go, and then that's when you said you go off plan, or the plan is over. Now it's just you have to use your wit. There's nothing else. Get out there and play the game. I understood what you said. You answered the question very well.
Yeah, so very similar to Tanner. I was around sports my whole life. Played everything pretty much outside of hockey, because we can't play that here, but we can, but don't exactly have a lot of ice. So ironically, Tanner and I were teammates here at the College of Charleston on the men's soccer team. And, probably pretty similar to Tanner, all I wanted to do was play soccer. That was my focus. I didn't take school that seriously. I'm sorry to say that on a podcast, just being honest. I changed my major 3 times before I kind of was like, business will work. I am not a math guy. And then I picked, of course, business administration, which has like calculus, business calc, and all that stuff. So that was a lot of fun. But really with that, I had multiple injuries freshman year, junior year, and alongside some other personal items. And I had to make a very tough decision to walk away from soccer. And at that point, didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I would say I got very, very lucky with the business school. Going into my junior year of college was when I had an internship presented over at the Citadel, and it was very entry level, ticket sales, marketing, everything else. And I took a shot, and thankfully got that job, and that was the thing that really kind of, through a time of a lot of confusion and not knowing what I was going to do, and a lot of harder moments in my life at that time, I was able to just kind of, put your big boy pants on, figure it out, and thankfully that small internship turned a career to where it's been, a true blessing.
Yeah.
Just real quick on that, would you attribute the fact that your internship was in sports to you getting a career in sports because you were already playing? But like, if you wouldn't have known that there was a business side to sports, is that something you would have ventured on your own, or?
Probably not. More because I didn't really even know that existed. I think we all know pro sports and stuff like that, and there's front offices, but I had no idea really there were opportunities in ticketing and things like that. So it was, you kind of had that world open up, and you're like, I can still be in what I love, and now I'm getting paid to do it, and it's a fun thing to do. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's kind of that creative piece too, right? Like, you have to always be looking for whatever options, and if sports is where you're at, then you can like find what you want in whatever industry or space that you're in. Yeah, perfect. Just for the next question, because you two were teammates, I'm curious, what were your expectations of each other? Do you both think that you would be at the director and senior manager level of professional sports teams? If we went back to when you guys were in school?
I'll say since Tanner was my elder, I would say, no, Tanner was a great talent. He had so much of the assets on the athletic side. He was tall, he was strong, he was fast. He could score goals, which we really liked. No, I thought Tanner had all the ability to go and play professionally. And you, correct me if I'm wrong, you were with the Battery kind of like a little bit. Yeah, so, no, I mean, I always had a full belief that Tanner would go and crush it because, I mean, I remember when I was in high school, I know it's going to make you sound old. When I was in high school, I remember watching Tanner play. It was his freshman year against South Carolina here when we beat them. And I remember looking at my dad at the time, and I will always remember, I was just like, this kid's a stud, and he's a beast. But no, Tanner's a great player, but more importantly, he's been a great friend, he's a great teammate, and I'm really just proud of him for what he's accomplished.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, I'm not just going to say this because he's here. I think he was and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, you were one of the few local players that were on the team, and, you know, he was a guy who he would be there early. He would stay late. He would ask his elders questions. You know, how do I improve my game? So, and that, I think anyone who kind of invests in their craft in that light and kind of take a step back and, you know, want to actually do right and take the right steps to get there, you know, those people are going to be successful in most things that they endeavor to do.
Awesome. Perfect. You got anything else, Troy?
Well, that was really swell. I love the info. And what I'm hearing is, you know, part of the journey, you guys really just had to figure it out. You know, after a while, you had a little bit of the blueprint. You had a little bit of guidance, I'm sure. But eventually it was like, well, and now it's your, what he said, you need a big boy pants. It's your time to do whatever you need to do. And so that brings me to my next question as well. So recently, I'd say more and more in society, people are gearing towards independence. A lot of people just want to be by themselves. They want to do it all. And to a sense, the work of your own hands will get you where you want to be, or they'll show you, you know, that's where you are. You're there by the work of your own actions and choices. So I'm sure you guys had periods in your life where there was times where you guys were alone. Alone meaning it was grind time. It was put your head down. I don't really have time for the social events. I don't really have time to go and hang out with this guy or that guy or whatever. I really got to just get in and get my hands dirty and get in the mud. So we can go this way this time. What was, I'd say, the main time where you had to really put your head down and just lock in?
I think it was, I think it's still going, but especially in the sports sales world. But it would have to have been in 21 when I first came on as an account executive for the club. I'd been around sport and I'd been coaching soccer, but I didn't really know. I didn't have a quote unquote blueprint. You know, the Battery. It's been around for 32 years, but there's not I wouldn't say that when I started there wasn't a proper training program, right? So I was having to reach out to peers in the industry, people at the league office, like, what do I need? How can I improve? Reading books, watching videos. I don't know how many YouTube videos I've watched on how to sell or things of that nature. So that would kind of be my 2 cents on it.
Yeah. Not to go too deep, but I think something in terms of just kind of when you get pressured and hit with some stuff and you gotta push through. I lost my mom when I was 20, so I was going into my junior year of college here, and thankfully that's ironically when the internship presented my way. So I was able to kind of get going on that piece. But I think really in more recent time, my father passed away at the end of February of last year. And at that time, I was in Houston. I just bought a house. Trying to balance the Texans stuff, and then we had the rodeo coming, and it was a lot of that moment where, being at that time 28 or 29, whatever it was, having to know that to make them proud, to do things the right way, I had to just buckle down and move into the house, get stuff, get bills going, get all the utilities and all the fun stuff, but also continue to focus on the work that I had to do while also dealing with stuff back home, but really doing my best to, just be, at the end of the day, life doesn't stop for this stuff, and you got to keep on grinding and moving and doing what you can to be successful and keep moving forward. So.
Oh yeah, I know that. That can definitely be. I'll Just a side note, I lost my father when I was 15. He passed away when I was in New York. And I know there's one thing about parents, you know, ever since you were a kid, that was the one person who you had to listen to no matter what. You knew it was law. And I found out recently in my life, you know, as a young man growing up, sometimes we look back and we want to hear what they had to say. When we don't know what's going on, we look towards them to say, well, what do I do next? And so I know it can be hard when you're looking for that voice, but you still, like you said, you knew what would make them proud. Deep down in your heart, you knew what they wanted. And, you know, I know that can be challenging, so appreciate that.
Yeah, I would say for me, it was about 3 years ago when I transitioned over from the service side of corporate partnerships over to sales. I was very comfortable in my service role and felt, you know, like I was in a really good place, but I knew I needed to continue to push myself and challenge myself to try something new. Sales, and you guys get it, is not overnight success, and that can be very frustrating. It's much more of a longer term look, and so there was probably a year or so where I just felt like, why can I not, you know, close my first sponsorship deal, or why can I not do this, or why is this so hard? And I just had to really grind for, I mean, it's still going. you don't quit in sales. But I can look back and say that was a really challenging year of my life, that I just had to give it everything I had. And then finally it all started to come together and the pieces just kind of started to fall into place. Got more comfortable with myself, got more comfortable with what I was supposed to be doing, and also finding value in what I bring to that role, right? I mean, you can't, not everyone who sits in a sales role should have the same background. And I think I've learned how to lean into that and find success, but after a lot of, hardship and challenge through that.
You had to, what do they call it? Reassess.
Mm-hmm.
You had to
Exactly.
look at things in a different light, in a different perspective.
Yes.
Yeah, for me it was when I first got to the Rays. Our current owner had just purchased the team. We had all new front office. The leadership side on baseball and the business side was brand new. They came over with him, and they put out the job posting that I found, and was eventually hired for. They wanted a software application that would allow them to be a one-stop shop for everything baseball related. And the extent of what they told me they wanted was a newspaper article about a system another team in Major League Baseball had. And they're like, we don't know how to build this. We need you to build it. Have at it. And that's all I had to go on. Personally, I had never been in a role where I was having to do everything completely from scratch. That was completely new to me, despite my previous experience. So, frankly, I was scared to death. So I knew that I had 1 year from the date I was hired until the start of the next baseball season to get this thing built. There was just no option for failure. It had to happen, and I had to basically come up with the ideas, do the design, meet with everybody to get all the information about what they needed, and get this thing built and get it out there on time. And it was just a year of nonstop. It was a grind. I was the only person doing it. I had one person helping me on the data side. I was the only person on the softball side, or the software side. So there was just no other option but to get it done. So it was just a year of nonstop grinding to get it out.
Indeed. And, listening to all of your stories, I really want to connect it back for the audience, connect it back to college. So I've heard, you got into a new industry, so to say. It's still sports, but now you're looking at it from a different perspective. You said the team had been around for 32 years, but they were looking for innovation. They were looking for new ideas. That's why they hired you. Christian, you had, losses in the family. You had more of a personal, things that were happening, but in all reality, you had lost people who were, basically your backbone. In a sense, these were the people that had guided you all your life. And on top of that, you were at a new level. There was new things to look at. You had to get aware of your surroundings. And then after that, you had to catch your footing and go running. Same thing for both of you two. Both of you, you said that 1 year, a whole year. I mean, after a few months, people get discouraged and leave it alone. Maybe I need something new. But 1 year, you decide to stick with it. It's a new place, I was comfortable back in my old job. I felt good. I know everybody likes me. I got a good check or whatever, but this is not where I wanted to be. And then you found it and you stayed. And a challenge thrown at you. They read the newspaper and was like, well, I know what guy I need on this. Get it done. And instead of saying, well, complaining about it and whatnot, you said, all right, I accept this responsibility because this is my role. And I, freshman coming in, I've seen many people, I'd say I come from poverty, but I've seen many people where they had the assets, at least they had the assets in order to start from scratch. They had I wouldn't say they had the mentality because some of them stopped. Some of them stopped right before they were to strike gold or find the diamonds in the rough. And I believe that that's what I want to emphasize to the viewers. It's okay to feel lost. You're going to feel lost when it's something new because you've never been there. You're going to feel lost because, you need new things in order to excel at this next level. And that's what I really feel like I got from all of that, is that you guys had to find, I play a lot of video games. You guys had to find new accessories. You guys had to find a new loadout. You guys had to regroup, reassess, all right, where do we go from here? But I really want to emphasize on the fact that it takes time. It takes time, and it takes also a lot of dedication because I believe in God, and I've had a very, a long relationship here and there, straying and then coming back. But I'll definitely say, even if you don't believe in God, you can believe in the universe, whatever. Some things need to happen in order for you to, get to the next level. A test. That was a test. You had 1 year, nothing's going on. Are you going to really stick through it? What if everything's going good, Are you really going to stay until you strike gold? How long are you willing to get your hands dirty with nothing else to lose? Or with everything? He's already in the spot. I'm in now. I got the job, but how long can you keep it? How long can you maintain? And not only after that, how long till you go to the next level? And, wait. You want to ask the next question?
Yeah, just kind of on those same lines, and we'll start with you, Brian. Just
Sure.
This is an old joke, but you got a lot more experience and options, so putting you on the spot won't be as crazy.
I just want to say, for the record, I did not make any old jokes to Brian when you guys have already made two.
Look, yeah, that's all right. We're in the podcast. It's a lot more
I
loose.
completely
It's
accept
okay.
my role.
It's
as
okay.
the,
You are.
I mean, I had a moment last night. I'm sitting in a restaurant, and I literally remembered it has now been 30 years since I left this campus, and that's that punches you in the face a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Sorry, to get us back on track. Like, how does the role of failure play into like who you are as a person and as a professional now? Because again, we're trying to push it towards this like college mentality that you go in and like Lauren, you said, hey, I was in this spot for a year. I couldn't succeed. You're gonna fail. It's gonna happen. And it's just kind of about how you respond to it and the way that I'm not trying to take words out of your mouth here, but do you have like a specific example that you could give us that you learned from?
I could give several, but to keep it tied close to the college. The very first test I took here was a biology class from Dr. Wiseman. He was famous. I knew about this ahead of time. I just happened to end up in his class, Biology 101, and everybody's like, you're going to fail this class. And I'm like, I can't fail. My parents won't accept that. It's my first college class. I can't do that. Well, sure enough, we go in there, we take the test. I think I got a 27. Now, Dr. Wiseman, he was the greatest guy ever. Very first hour of class, he's eating chalk, telling us it's fine because this is the biological makeup. It was insane, but it was fun. Sure enough, we take that test. I get a 27. And then the whole next class is about, everybody's losing their minds. These are all college students who are here to make A's, B's. Some are fine with C's, and nobody wants a D or an F, no matter what. And he spent the whole next class talking about, look, this is on purpose. It's to teach you how to be a college student. It's to teach you how to fail and learn from it. And I don't think about it that often anymore, but it kind of set the tone for my time here at the college and the rest of my career. His point was, I don't care what you got on the SAT. I don't care what your GPA was in high school. I don't care if you're on a full scholarship here or whatever. there's a lot of stuff you don't know. There's a lot of stuff you're not ever going to know, but you need to try and figure it out. And that was one of those lessons that I always took with me because, I mean, it's just like, I'm in baseball, really good hitters fail 70% of the time. It's the age-old adage. There's a lot of Hall of Famers that failed more than they succeeded. And, I've been with the Rays almost 20 years now, and there's been plenty of stuff I failed at, but, it's always what you do after. How do you recover? How do you handle it? We've had plenty of people that, sports, even if you're not an athlete playing, it's very competitive. It's very black or white in a lot of cases. In the front office, you get a little more leeway, I think, but you're still going to fail. And how do you own it? How do you recover from it? How do you communicate that you have a plan to recover from that? And those are the teammates you want beside you. Nobody expects perfection. Nobody's going to get perfection. It's a pipe dream to think you would, but it's those that can persist through it, like you were saying. If you can persist, keep a good attitude, correct whatever mistakes you made the next time around, that's eventually going to lead you, whether you're in college now or you're like me, 30 years out of college. I still have hopes and dreams that I want to reach one day, and all of that is part of my path to get there.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Failing is just part of life, and I think it's only failing if you don't learn from it. Right? You have to take those experiences and really think about why they happened and how you can get better. I can't even think of a specific time. It's happened so many times. You just have to learn to be kind to yourself. I think I learned that the hard way coming out of college. I thought everything was going to be perfect. I was going to have this plan, and you just have to learn to roll with it and give yourself a little bit more kindness than you might want to sometimes, because you're going to go through some hard things and you're going to face challenges, and you have to learn to really take those in stride and be patient with yourself. You're not going to have all the answers today, and you're not going to have them all tomorrow. But I think as long as you keep, seeking to get better and want to be the best version of yourself, then that's all you can do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Repeat the question, please.
Yeah, it's what is failure to you, and what role has it played in your personal life and business life, I guess?
That's a great question. For me, the word failure it has very much of a negative connotation, but I think it's more of just like opportunity to go again. For me, playing sports growing up, played on good teams and won a lot, right? So I think coming to the College of Charleston, we didn't have a lot of success on the field. So that was probably one of the first times where I was like, man, this isn't fun. And you have to go to the drawing board and say, all right, so what do I need to do differently? Who can I talk to? Who can I network with to help me overcome hard times? Because you could go down the wrong path very easily in college, right? So it's making sure you have a good network of people at home, in the dorm, friends, in passing teachers. It's all of it. It's part of your experience, and but yeah, I really focus on trying to use failure as a springboard for what I can do next.
Perfect.
Yeah, I almost don't want to tell Brian like when I was born. Just going on some of the jokes we're making. But no, on the failure side, I align with Tanner a lot on this in terms of it does have such a negative connotation to it. But I think, not to just kind of go in a circle here, life's tough, life's just hard. There's other things that I can say about life, but I don't think it's appropriate to say. But life's very hard, and I think to be honest, it's like a long boxing match, right? So we're going at it for 40 to 50 years until you retire, and you probably still have to keep boxing after that. But you get knocked down a ton, and reality, not many other people are going to help you back up. So you got to get back, on your feet and keep swinging. And at some point you're going to nail some stuff, and other times you're going to get hit hard. But just continuing to fight every single day. While I'm still on the boxing reference, I guess, surround yourself with really good people in your corner who support you and will help you, and your family, your friends, mentors, whoever it might be. But I think that's a very important piece with all the failure side of stuff is surround yourself with really great people, and the failures will still happen, but they might not look as bad if you've got the right people in your corner.
Awesome.
I like what all of you said, and specifically with Christian's example of the boxing and having those people in your corner. Is there someone in your life that's been a mentor to you where they have certain leadership qualities that you try to replicate and bring into your own personal life and professional life when leading your team, family, and professional team? Let's start with Lauren.
You want to go first? Let me think about this. I'm going to think on that.
Okay. You got it?
Yeah, I can go on that.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So, I feel like there's always a long list, right, of people, and obviously mom and dad, number one. But in terms of a professional aspect of it, Chris Beretta was my boss at the Citadel. He had come from Seattle. He was with the Seahawks and Sounders. He had been there for well over a decade, and then wanted to come into the collegiate side and came over to the Citadel as the I think he's like director of ticket ops or something over there. And basically, they didn't really have a ticket office, so it was kind of this new thing that he brought over. He was a soccer guy, and that's kind of what we bonded over. And we clicked immediately when we met, and he helped me through a lot. But more importantly, really on like the job side of stuff, knowing where to apply, connecting me with certain professionals within the industry was a great referral for me on resumes and applications. But a guy, I got that internship in May of 15, so it'll be 10 years in May of this year. So, and Chris and I stay in touch. He is checking in usually once a month. We don't talk as much as we used to, but I always know that, I wouldn't be where I am professionally without Chris. He's great, and, I'm very, very grateful and lucky that, God picked him to be kind of the guy he put in my life at the right time to really help guide me on that professional journey.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of individuals that have shaped me from one aspect or another. As far as like constant, it's probably my dad. He's been through trial and tribulation, and I won't get into any details, but he came out the other side, and is my hero, essentially. And he's had a lot. Like I said, he's had a lot that's happened in his life, and if he can do it, if he can get through it and get to the other side, like I literally have no excuse not to first put in the work and then follow through and make sure I have success. So, very short answer, but I'd say my dad is, my hero.
Yeah, I think for me, there's not one or two names. It's, just an amalgamation of many different people that have been in my life. Growing up with my parents, seeing what they had to do to raise the four of us children together, and what they were able to do. You just learn so much from that. And, you get here to the college and being on the baseball team, then becoming a student athletic trainer. I was around in the days of John Kress. He was around for a lot of people that are here. You see how he operates and runs a team, and then Coach Lundy, your coach, working for him in summer camps, and you just pick up little pieces along the way to speak to you. Everybody has their own personality. Certain things are going to resonate more than others. Yes, I like how they did this. No, I didn't like how they did this. But, those bits and pieces all kind of funnel into you internally to make you who you are, and then working around the group I work with now, there's so many people within the Rays that are in other organizations because we've been successful, and each of them, all of them have taught me something. Some of them are, they've been in baseball for 50 years. Others are, younger, but, they all come from different backgrounds, and you can learn something from all of them. So, for me, it's just, what are the things that you see working and that you think would work for you, and what are the things that work for somebody that might not work with your personality? Those are all the things that I've taken to become a leader over my group in the way that I feel has worked well with everything we're tasked with, and made me who I am today.
Yeah, I would say kind of the same. I haven't had one or two specific mentors, but definitely a lot of people come to my mind as just helping to shape my career and push me along the way. My dad, I also would consider to be a mentor of mine. He's always supported me, and actually he was in sales as well. And so as I made this transition, not sports sales, but he had managed sellers for a very long time, and he was able to kind of help coach me through what that looked like and give me a different perspective. He's also always quick to say, you maybe should look at this from a different lens. You maybe don't. You haven't sat in that chair. You don't necessarily know what that person's gone through or what their experience is, and you should always have kind of some different perspective. But mentors along the way have, I think I heard something once that said something along the lines of a manager will more so make you feel like their time is very valuable, but a good leader will make you feel valuable. And I think there are a few people along my career who have always made me feel valuable, even though they are so busy and have really important things that they need to be doing. They've taken that time to invest in me and make me feel valuable and help drive me forward. And they don't have to do that, but that is kind of our duty now to take that challenge on, I'd say, and help mentor people who are just getting into their careers and pass it on.
Perfect. Patrick, do you have any follow-ups to that?
No.
You go to that?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I do.
Go ahead.
So, that valuable information once again, and I want to convey it to the viewers a little bit better, or in the sense that they might see it differently. But throughout it all, of course, fathers, parents, they're obviously going to be influential no matter what. But you guys had said, there's not one or two. There's not one person in specific that, has done all of it. And so I want to tie that back in for the viewers, especially while they're in college and anybody in life, really. But networking, the people who you're around will basically guide you to where either you want to be or that's just where you're going to be going, because the people around you, you're going to be just like them. They're going to influence you whether you like it or not. They're going to influence you in the daily conversations and your actions and their actions and how you go about it. And so what I want to say to that is you guys have to be very aware, and I'm speaking to all students and just people in general, to be very aware of your surroundings. As you guys can see from their previous, what they said about when they got to the new level, they had to reassess. You had to, look around, start looking at new angles, but do not forget that you may have to shed some skin. You may have to take a few pieces off, maybe take a few things out the book bag so that you can get different materials and different assets, so to say, to go into the new endeavors. And that's what I'm saying. People now geared towards more individualism. They want to do everything by themselves. But you have to understand that there are people out there willing to help, but you have to be willing to go out there. You're not definitely not going to know everything, but you got to know who's around in your corner, who's helping you in a good way, or who's dragging you down and holding you back from actually excelling. And I think that's really what I got from you. It's not just one person that's going to build you up. It takes a village. Absolutely. And that's what I wanted to bring from that.
Perfect. And then we'll just use this as a last question, just maybe a 60-second wrap up here. Thank you all for your time. But if you had to go back and you found like one random person on campus, or I guess you could even think of yourself, what like one piece of advice would you give that person today? I guess more specifically, like from
that's
I
a
mean,
tough one.
that's what we're doing. I mean, just like from the position that you're in, what advice would you give to somebody who's like just starting out or hasn't gotten started?
I'll go back to a previous answer because it's so important to me. Just stay curious. Stay open to any possibilities. We go. We've all gone through this amazing college experience here. Been exposed to so much. There's so many other schools you can go to. There's like, I am a business major. I see nothing else but business all day long. It's such a treat to see so many different aspects of the world through the lens of the college, and keeping your mind open, staying curious, staying open to any possibility. I mean, I went from thinking I'm becoming a doctor to I didn't want to be a doctor and did rental cars for a short while, which somehow rental cars led me to software, which led me to working in pro sports. I mean, you never know what the path is going to look like. It is not going to be a straight line no matter what you want.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I would say, and I touched on this a little bit before too, but throw your plan out the window. I wish I could go back and tell my little self that, because I just wanted to control everything and I wanted everything to be perfect, and I needed to learn to just give it up and go with the flow. And to your point, I think if you're a student at the College of Charleston, you've already kind of made a hard choice, if you will, right? Like, I love being here, and it's an amazing college, but I think it's very cultural. It's so different, and I think it's really, I'm not going to say easy, but when you go to a school that, you're like, I like their football team or something like that, we all kind of made decisions to come to the college because of the incredible, well-rounded experience that it would provide us. And I think you have to just lean into that and know that you're getting some incredible experience that might not apply to you where you are at that moment, but it will stay with you.
Perfect. Thank you.
I think, one thing that I would say, as Jim Valvano said at his speech at the ESPYs, is don't give up, don't ever give up. And I think you can take that as you want it and as you will, but I think it's incredibly powerful with no matter what year you are here at the college, no matter where you're at, no matter what you're going through with life, just keep trucking away and don't ever give up.
Yeah, I mean, I would say start networking as soon as you can, whether that be with other students, teachers, like there's so many accomplished individuals in their own fields at the college. Students are working on projects in their own, little circles, right? And like, how can you bring your skill set to help them, right? And then in turn, later they might help you with something, right? It is really about the village and the community. So, how can you get connected as early as possible so that when you're graduating, it's not your first time going to a networking event. You know how to work a room as a freshman or a sophomore, right? Those are the people that are going to get the opportunities.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much. Jarell, you got anything else? Last comments?
This is it's a pretty fruitful conversation. I won't lie, I enjoyed the points. Main points from you guys out here is stay curious. Sometimes you got to reassess. Don't give up. And use your voice. Use your voice, people. You'll never know unless you go out there. But do you have any other thoughts?
Thank you guys all for coming for this and today for the panel, and we really appreciate it.
Indeed. Should
Yep.
wrap it up?
Absolutely. That's it. That's a wrap. All right. Thank you guys for coming.
That's a wrap, guys. And